what is architecture, what is urban design, and what is urban planning. Architecture is defined as the design of built environment, the experience of space, and the aesthetics of the built form. From the macro level of urban planning, urban design, and to the micro level of construction details, interior designs, and much more.
Hello, my name's Thomas Heatherwick. I have a studio in London that has a particular approach to designing buildings. When I was growing up, I was exposed to making and craft and materials and invention on a small scale. And I was there looking at the largest scale of buildings and finding that the buildings that were around me and that were being designed and that were there in all in the publications that I was seeing felt soulless and cold. And there, on the smallest scale, the scale of an earring or a ceramic pot or a musical instrument, was a materiality and a soulfulness. And this influenced me. The first building I built was 20 years ago. And since, in the last 20 years, I've developed a studio in London. And sorry, this was my mother, by the way, in her shop, bead shop in London. I spent a lot of time counting beads and things like that. I'm just going to show, for people who don't know my studio's work, a few projects that we've worked on. This is a hospital building. This is a shop for a bag company. This is studios for artists. This is a sculpture made from 1 million yards of wire and 150,000 glass beads the size of a golf ball. And this is a window display. And this is a pair of cooling towers for an electricity substation next to St. Paul's Cathedral in London. And this is a temple in Japan for a Buddhist monk. And this is a cafe by the sea in Britain.
Urban design is the process of making better places for people than would otherwise be produced. Urban design is like cement, which put bricks together and creates a strong and responsive to people's needs structure, which is also made of innovative materials and protects people against all possible aggressive factors. City planning or rural planning is a technical and political process that is focused on the development and design of land use and the built environment, including air, water, and the infrastructure passing into and out of the urban areas, such as transportation, communication, and distribution networks and their accessibility. Urban design participates in the planning of buildings or architecture as well as in town planning and spatial planning. As a result, each of these two spheres lay claim to urban design as an integral part. It thus seems all the more important to investigate the relationships of urban design to both architecture and town planning. In other words, to provide a clear exposition of the differences between the intellectual territories claimed by architecture, urban design, and urban planning. The major differences between architecture, urban design, and urban planning is based on scale, orientation, street treatment of space, and the most important factor, that is time frame. Factor scale explains architecture in the form of individual building, urban design in the form of spaces between buildings such as streets, parks, bus stops, etc., and urban planning in the form of whole neighborhoods. The second factor, that is orientation. In architecture, aesthetics and functionality are the most important thing. In urban design, again aesthetics and functionality are the most important factors. But on the contrary, urban planning defines its major domain in utility or the function factor, that is treatment of space. Architecture and urban design works in 2D and 3D, but urban planning is predominantly works in 2-dimensional. Last factor of the differences is time frame. In architecture, there is no definite time frame. In urban design, it's a short-term process, less than 5 years, but in urban planning, development plans are made for 5 to 20 years. So huge amount of time. This journey of architecture, urban planning and urban design explains clearly the roles of different areas of architecture. Might it be urban planning or urban design or architecture.